Now that we've learned how to graph quadratic equations, graphing quadratic inequalities isn't going to be much different. The only difference is going to be that we're going to be shading, and there's potential that our line could be dotted. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at our steps and notice that they're very similar to graphing quadratic equations in the standard form. Because basically what we're doing is graphing a quadratic equation that's in the standard form. However, it's an inequality, so we're going to shade one way or the other. So the first thing that we have to do is identify our A, B, and C. Here we have an A that is -1, a B that is 4, and a C that is 2. Because we have -x squared plus 4x plus 2. Now our second step is we're going to find the axis of symmetry. And if you remember, the equation for that is x equals -b over 2a. In this case, our b is 4, so we have -4, and our a is -1, so we have 2a is -2. So -4 over -2 is +2, so our axis of symmetry is at x equals 2. Let's go ahead and draw that on our graph so that we have it ahead of time to note for reflective purposes. So we go to x equals 2, 1, 2, and we draw a dotted line all the way down. Now our next step is to make a 5-point table, and we know the most important point is going to be our vertex. Since we already have the x-coordinate of our vertex, we're going to need to find the y-coordinate. So when we're making our table, we're going to center it around that x and y in 5 points centered around x equals 2. So let's go with x equals 0, x equals 1, x equals 3, and x equals 4. Now we're going to plug these in to our equation to see what we get for y. When x is 0, y is 2. When x is 1, we have -1 plus 4 plus 2, so y is 5. When x is 2, we have a -4 plus 8 plus 2, so that means y is 6. Now when x is 3, we have -9 plus 12 plus 2, which is 5. And we know this is right because the reflection over the axis of symmetry is at 1, 5, so 3, 5 makes sense. That means without even plugging it in, we know that when x is 4, y is equal to 2 because of the reflection over the axis that says 0, 2 is a point. Now that we have those 5 points, we have to determine if our inequality is going to be dashed graph or a solid graph. So we look up here and we have y is less than -x squared plus 4x plus 2. That less than, because there's not an equal to sign, tells you that you have to have a dashed graph. So we need to keep that in mind. So our graph is dashed. The other thing this tells you is whether you're going to shade up or down. Since y is less than all of this, we are going to shade below our curve. So we're going to shade below. So our last step, now that we know that our graph is dashed and that we shade below, is to go ahead and plot the points from our table on our plane. So first one, we have 0, 2, up 2. We have 1 up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 2 up 6. Then we have the reflection, 3 up 5, and 4 up 2. We're going to go ahead and connect these points. Now the only thing we have left to do is shade it either above or below, and we already determined that we're supposed to shade below, so I'm going to take my color and I'm going to shade everywhere underneath this curve. So now we have the graph of our quadratic inequality, y is less than -x squared plus 4x plus 2.